Hi everybody, Judy Parcell here again, and I came up with this little drawing through a story I heard about a man's near-death experience. He described falling through blackness, falling and falling, and then he saw stars, beautiful stars, all sizes, sparkling all around him, and he fell through stars and kept falling. And then he landed in a room full of elves. And the elves got all excited and they said, "Oh, you're finally here. We've been waiting for you. We're waiting to go and have some fun with you." Now, I'm going to end his story there, but boy, that was enough food to give me this idea. This was my interpretation of his experience. Now, instead of these being elves, I made them into brownies. And I want to point out a couple of things that are interesting here. Here they're kind of walking along, and there's stars, and this could be at night, and they've got their pet ladybug with them. And she's got a mushroom, and he's got a leaf, and they're just kind of walking along. But when I got done with this idea and developing it, it came up like this. I added stars to his leaf. I added fall leaves to the scene. And the way I colored it in with watercolor pencils, it changed the whole thing from being any time of the day to being maybe sunset. So they might be coming home from a day's work in the forest collecting things. Also, the fall leaves are influenced by the fact that I'm experiencing fall season right now. So if you remember back several videos ago, I talked about how our environment influences our art. And so this is a good example of that. Now, I said earlier, these are watercolor pencils. So I colored this in the way I wanted it, and I scanned it. So this is a print of the watercolor pencils that I did. And I'm going to show you the, now look at the difference in the colors here between printing it out, scanning it and printing it from the original. This is far richer and fuller. Now I'm going to be developing this into a greeting card eventually, and what I'll do is in Photoshop I will bring out these colors to get them as close to this as possible, because color really helps sell greeting cards. But anyway, you can definitely tell the difference here. And this is really, really cute little painting. Watercolor print. But I thought what I would do while I have your undivided attention is that I would start just putting a wet brush to this and see what happens. So I have 2 tubs of water. One I keep clean, and the other one is for cleaning my brush. That's to keep the colors from mudding. And then I have a palette down here, which is Corel plate. I may or may not use this, but I have it here just in case. So I thought I would start with a brush that's, about that size. It's pretty big. I'm going to be working with brushes that are this tiny to get into the corners here. So all I'm going to do is wet them. Now, when I was growing up, there used to be these little coloring books, and when you put water to them, they look black and white, but when you put water to them, they all of a sudden became live with color. I don't know if any of you have ever seen those, but that's really kind of interesting. So I'm going to start up here in the corner, and I'm going to start painting, and I'm going to show you how all of a sudden this changes. Now when I get close to the leaves and the detail, I will use a finer brush. But look at this, I'm already painting, and this is how easy you can get into starting to paint. Boy, that makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it? Go back over it again and get some more of that pigment to come up. That's a whole different color blue from the colored pencils, isn't it? Even richer, yeah. This is almost, you can't go wrong with this kind of watercolor painting. Now I'm just quickly going around the stars. I want to keep those as white as I can, and the white paper is the whiteness. You know, I was, I'll move this down because it's a lot bigger than my camera. This will make the cutest little card. Now, I call myself an illustrator because I like my paintings to tell a story. And now, as you know, I usually have a little bit of history behind each inspiration. Oh, I got you off the thing here. That's cheating on my part, not showing you what I'm doing. This, to me, is the most fun part about art because I don't know how this is going to turn out. And it's okay. There are never any mistakes in art. There's only discoveries. Now, what I'm interested in seeing here is I did the really dark part, but I want to see if as I graduate down to the lighter pigment, if that's going to change. I've got to know that. Looks pretty good. This brush is a little soft. It does change. Now it'll be interesting to see after I trigger all this pigment with water, if when I go to scan this, how it's going to look. That's why I scanned the original watercolor pencil work, and that won't be lost if this doesn't turn out to my liking. You got to understand, to my liking, because somebody else might say, "Oh, Judy, you're crazy. It's beautiful." Oh, okay. As I get down here, I want my brush to be loaded just with water. Hopefully this will be a gradual gradation. Gradual. Okay. Hopefully, we shall see. Looks like it's going to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna work out, I think. Let's see, I'm gonna go over here and work over here a little bit. All I'm doing is just kind of lobbing the water on here. Just to re-emphasize with you, this was printed by my little old friend at the print shop on very heavy cardstock, super white cardstock that takes laser ink. So when you go to put the watercolor on, it puckers very, very little. And that's why I like it. Now, it may have a finish on it that keeps the water from puckering, I'm not sure, but all I know is this works for me. Now I'm seeing a hair on my brush. You want to get those off if they come out. And I don't use real expensive brushes because I don't take care of them. And there's so many brushes now that, you know, you can throw them out. They're cheap enough. Used to be I paid exorbitant prices for brushes. Ooh, when I did oils, boy, they were expensive. And they all had to be ermine. And then the synthetic brushes came out. And I felt like a liberated woman. Okay. Moving right along here. Did I do this? I guess I did. I don't know if I did or not. Oh, that's so pretty, see? Yeah, that just graduates. You know, this is going to be a no-brainer for you guys to try. Just remember, if you go up into the heavier stuff and you bounce around, rinse your brush off if you drop down the other. Otherwise, you'll take a darker pigment down with you. You don't want to do that. Okay. So be sure to rinse that brush out. All I'm doing is lobbing the water around here. So you can move this stuff around too, this paint. Oh, that's pretty. So you can have it go instantly from pencil to watercolors. Easy. I probably should do a boring video on watercolor theory, or I should say color theory, before I show you this, but that could be the next one coming up. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. I will point out to you, though, that you will notice when I was trying to decide her dress that it couldn't be like pink again. So I put the opposite on the color wheel. You know, blue against the red. You know, red, white, and blue works. I graduated the sun from yellow to orange to pink. That should be interesting to see how that comes up when I hit it with the water. And then there's green against the pink and against the brown. That's all okay. Kept a lot of variety going on. Also, when you're doing color, you notice that right here is a purple leaf, and I put purple shoes on another purple leaf, tying it all in. There's another purple leaf. And then he has purple boots, and then some more purple flowers, and I run them throughout here. Anyway, you just mix, match it around. Let's get back to painting here. I'll probably do something on the color wheel. I think I should if I'm going to start getting into painting with you. But this is really easy painting. You get to paint this twice. Once with colored pencils and once with a wet brush. definitely think I should get into the color wheel with you. And I'll make it simple because I think the color wheel was the hardest thing for me to learn, but I do know it makes a difference if your colors are right in making a piece of art pop. As you know, when we did this, originally the drawing gave you one feeling, and when I added the colored pencils in, it was a whole nother feeling. So color is really, really important. Going up here. There we go. That's kind of fun. I think I'll lay that big brush down and do a different one. This may be too small, I'll have to see. These bristles aren't going to hold as much water, but we'll see. I just don't want to get anything inside that white star. So, just to be cautious, which I am, turn this upside down. I'm going to come in with a smaller brush to activate that pigment. This is a bit more tedious, but what else you gotta do? When you're doing art, you're going to create something that's going to make you smile. Not to mention other people are going to smile too. Anytime you do fantasy, by the way, you don't offend anybody. If you're worried about that. When I do art, I do it for myself, but if other people enjoy it, that's good too. That's a bonus. And it used to be, I would put my art off after I did my house chores. In other words, in my mind, mentally, I was making it secondary. And it was funny, I never did any art because I never could do enough chores to earn the privilege to do art. And I had to actually change that way of thinking. I changed it more to, let's start painting with our cup of coffee in the morning when you got the energy. And then I do whatever I have to do. You see how I'm getting that right up to the edge of the star? That pigment with the little brush. Makes it pop out, doesn't it? And now here we're going to get up to this leaf here. Get around the leaf. It'll make the leaf pop. And you'll notice when I get the pigment going around it, all of a sudden that orange really jumps out. A trick of the brain. I want to blend these pigments out too a little bit. You don't want them looking splotchy. So brush away from. Just brush away. All right, here we go again. Going all the way around that leaf. You'll notice there's a drop of water there. Gotta be careful about that, dropping off on the paper. There we go. Now if I could do this fine work, and I have floaters, so can you. Oops. That was a bit much water. Spread it out. Okay. Boy, that just soaked that right up, didn't it? I love this paper. I don't know what it's treated with, but it does a fine job with watercolors. So down in the comments below, why don't you write a paragraph, a story that you can create from this painting. Maybe my story doesn't sound as good as the story you could make up. It's going to be really, really nice. I'm excited about this. Oops. Got a little carried away with myself there, but that's okay, I did it. I got her done. You can just see that color coming out. Just amazing. Now I'm just, if you notice, just working on the blue, because I'm going to have to change my water out. I'll just do the orange, change my water out. I'll just do all the pinks, change my water out, just to keep it clean. Oops. Has a really nice, kind of a smoky look to it, the sky. That's because of the way I laid the pigment down, I'm sure. It almost takes all the texture of the colored pencil lead out. Almost does that. You know, ever since I discovered watercolor pencils, I quit buying colored pencils because the watercolor pencil lays down much better pigment. Colored pencils, you have to work it to death to get, and then you can't activate it with water like this. That's just my rationale. Coming in a little bit with this, a little bit more. There we go. Anyway, you get the general idea of how to do this, and I'm also working down from the top of the painting because you could drag your hand. If you jump all over, you could drag your hand through it, smear something. So that's why I'm working from the top down. There we go. And once that sky is the way I like it, there we go. Okay. So, did we get all of it? Anyway, that's the general idea. And now I'm going to go in and clean my brush because I'm going to change colors. And I'm going to go down into the pink here. And I want a nice smooth transition. Now you can smear a little of that around, doesn't hurt. Wow. That's pretty amazing. If you're new at this, use the little bristles. Don't. I have a little bit more confidence. I've been doing this for a while. Yeah, that looks like watercolor painting to me. Now, if I want to make those stars pop, you got to get in there, into the corners, because there isn't much contrast between the white and this pink. Oops. Well, that was interesting. Let me get this down where you can see it. I'll start at the top of the pink and work it. Now I'm using brand clean water on this so I don't muddy the colors. Doesn't do a whole much difference on that, does it? On the paler colors. That's interesting. That's a little bit darker. So I'm just doing the pink right now. There isn't much change going on here, just a hair. I don't know if that shows up in the camera or not as a hair, but you know, there's a really good artist that I just subscribed to. He's a young Brit. His name is Jazza, and he's got some incredible ideas. He's quite a bit younger than I am, so he's got more energy, and he's got a knowledge of construction and quite a bit of money to run his studio. His studio is just electronic wizardry. Just absolutely wonderful. And he's got a crew of people that works with him. But he is incredibly clever. And I like to watch other artists because I can glean ideas from that too. And there is an artist, a woman artist, who used markers and did some Klimt art, which I'm going to try. I'm going to get well, I got it already, a black canvas, and I'm going to do some designing there. Now I'm going to get into the orange now. Ooh, that's jumping off. That color's jumping off for sure. I'm in clean water now. Look at that pop. I think I kind of knew that this would be stronger when I went to wet it. That's why I just laid it on very light. A little bit goes a long way with the darker pigments. And orange is definitely darker than pink. Yeah, and that's popping out there. That's good. Now here's another thing you can do after you get this painted. You can go back in with watercolor pencils and add more. No. This thing's starting to collect drops. You see, I can get right down in there. Make that distinct. There we go. I'm going to come in with a bigger brush, activate the yellow. Let's see how this does. Ooh. That definitely activates. Okay. Ooh. Now purple and yellow look really good together. Okay. Now set that brush aside. Come in with a finer brush. Now, one of the things I like about the laser is it does create somewhat of a trough there, and will sometimes help you in not letting your colors run in the wrong areas. Sometimes. Don't do what I just did there. That was a no-no. I'm going to pick this up with... Pick that up. This is a dry brush picking up the water. All right. So anyway, I could bore you with the rest of this, but I don't want to do that. I just wanted to show you how to get into watercolor painting the simplest way. And I want to thank you for joining me in my studio. This could take a couple hours for me to finish, and I don't want to bore you with that, but you did get the general idea. Be sure that between colors, I'm going to re-emphasize this, you can use a broader brush for the bigger areas, set this down, use a littler brush, keep one container of water for cleaning the dirty brush, and then the other one for dipping in to put fresh water on the color. Anyway, and then work down from the top to the bottom so your hand doesn't rest in it and you smear stuff around. There you have it. You have a great day. Thank you for joining me. Leave your comments down below. Give me a like. Thumbs up if you like what you've seen. Thumbs down, but if you do a thumbs down, please leave why you did not like it. Okay, talk to you later. You have a great day.